Yeah. And like kind of going back to the rate conversation in like the 80s when the rates were in the 15s or 17s and 18s or whatever. It's like, I wish I had the math up, but like when you look at the actual, real dollars, right? Like the income versus the prices of the houses in terms of like the percentages of income, hey, you're making $30,000 and the price of your house is $40,000. Like now it's like you're making 65,000 and your first time home buyer home price in some areas it may be 400,000 or 500,000. It's like the rates went so low and they've come up and it's like, okay, well, when I got in the business in 2006, rates were in the sevens, but like house prices are probably, the average median price is probably three times what it was back then. So it's like, yeah, rates are now kind of back where they were, a few years ago, but the prices are just way higher and the payments are way higher. And so it's like this gap between affordability and prices, and it's not going to change. I don't think, barring something, catastrophic. I don't think it's not going to change. So like we're in this new normal, I think, of what's happening. Like there's just a lack of inventory. People have low rates. I mean, like how many people, I think like 75% of people have a rate below 4% or the mortgage is paid off. So like there's no incentive to move. So I don't know. It's just,
No, yeah, yeah. And then I see a lot of people, the doomers talking about price crashes and whatnot. And, of course, could happen and prices probably will come down slightly. But a couple of the things that they always talk about is affordability. And like you mentioned, yeah, it's true. It's crazy right now. But one thing is, yes, prices may have to come down for houses to become more affordable, but another thing is real wages could actually go up, right? And you see that right now, a lot of people like, the UAW strike, the Kaiser healthcare strike. What was the movie? The film industry had their strike. So
oh
a
yeah.
lot of yeah, so a lot of people are trying to get more money, more pay. Um, you know, and I think that is also something that might help with affordability is people are gonna their real wages might be going up, and companies are having a hard time getting workers too, right? So they might have to start paying more to acquire workers. So that's something that could also help with affordability, not just prices crashing. People's wages could actually go up. And another thing I see the doomers always talking about is that the boomer generation is gonna pass away, and who is gonna take over these, mansions or $2 million homes and whatnot, who's gonna be able to afford it. And somebody was talking, they had a great point that right now there's so many multi-families, generations living in these McMansion or boomer homes, right? You see the grandkids or the kids living with the parents now. So there's more than one family in this home. So even if the boomer passes away, there's already people living in that home. So it's not like this home is just gonna all of a sudden come onto the market, or all these homes are gonna flood the market. So that's another thing that I kind of, you see these doomers talking about, oh, it's inventory going to come to the market, but there's a flip side to that also, yeah.
Yeah. So like me personally, right? We're talking about housing and rates and prices and all that stuff. Me personally, like there very well could be some type of catastrophic, collapse. And if that does happen, I think I know what it would be. It would be based on it would be coming from the stock market and the institutions. There's all this leverage and derivatives, and the market makers failure to delivers, and dark pools, and there's just a lot of leverage going on. And so I think if there is a collapse, it's going to be because of that. That's just my own personal opinion. I hope it doesn't happen. But like from a housing standpoint, you have the affordability, and we talked about this last time. The affordability gap is widening, and the people who have equity in a house, right? It's easier for someone to be able to say, "Hey, you know what? Like, I'm going to tap into that equity. I'm going to go buy the next house or buy a rental or whatever it is," versus someone who's making 40, 50, $60,000, and you got to put away 25, 30,000 in cash to be able to buy the first house, which is a massive number, especially in this environment. So it's like this gap is going to be continuing to widen between the top and the bottom, and I'm fearful for this next generation or two of being very, very low percentage of homeowners, which means that if they're not owning houses, then who is? It's everybody up here. And so if that is the case, if that is the trajectory of where we are, you know, the people that want or see the vision of being able to build wealth through real estate should be trying to do everything they possibly can to scoop up a property or the two, or three, because we know who's gobbling them up right now or has been. It's the institutions. It's build for rent stuff. All like that's the stuff that scares me. Like, and then you go on and go back into like some of these other multi mega billionaires, who are gobbling up all kinds of farmland in the Midwest. And that's stuff that scares me when you have all this concentration of these resources by the big, entities, then they have control. They already have control of all the media, all the shit, all the drug companies, BlackRock, Vanguard, like all this stuff is concentrated up top. And that's the stuff that scares the shit out of me.
I thought we weren't gonna go down this route, but
Oh shit.
no, no. I could go. I
I
could
just
go
I
on.
just fell I
No,
just fell down. I just
I
fell down a
no,
rabbit hole
yeah.
there.
I agree.
I tripped over something. I don't know what it was.
No, I agree. But it's funny you mentioned that because that's kind of the trying to help other people get started. And I know everyone's goals and visions and are a little bit different. So I'm always trying to find maybe that point of that kind of sensitive spot for them to how to relate to them. And so like you were talking, for someone that doesn't own anything right now and for their future generations what. So that's kind of how a lot of the younger guys in the firehouse, when I talk to them and maybe they don't own a home yet, I tell them, I said, for a lot of them, they're born and raised in the islands, they love it here, then they're never going to leave. And I tell them, for your kids, it would pain you like if your children had to leave when they got older because they couldn't afford to buy anything here. Like if they had to relocate, they took, their kids with them or your grandkids. So that's why I'm always trying to tell them, for you, it may not be that you're going to be buying 5 homes or building all this rental portfolio, but you have to get on the property ladder, like you're saying, get started to help the next your generation, to help your kids, to help them have something to maybe stay in Hawaii or help them raise their family here. But if you don't get started, yeah, I mean, I don't see how a lot of people are going to be able to afford homes in, especially in Hawaii. But for a lot of places, like if you don't get started now, I mean, it's going to be a challenge.
you know, One of the things that sticks with me about just how things can change, right? Like, COVID, here locally in St. Louis, there was an amazing restaurant called Pumpernickel's. Some of the best sandwiches, whatever. Like, people will be lined out of this place, and then just market factors happen. Staffing and like doesn't exist anymore. Like, it's amazing restaurant with a great following, not there anymore. Like the Pac-12 is not going to be around anymore. The Pac-12, like
Yeah.
USC, UCLA, Washington Huskies, like it's not going to be around anymore. I mean, why and how and what doesn't really matter. It is what it is. But bickering over dollars over TV contracts,
Yeah.
not going to be around next year. Like that's bonkers. Like, and the reason I bring it up is like you just don't know. Like, if something doesn't fit into where it's supposed to go, you don't know the people that hold the power or hold
Oh
the
yeah.
assets. Things will just go down a different path. That's like, what are we gonna be left with anyway? But like things can change in a heartbeat. And so if we're not doing the little bitty things to try to be able to increase income, save money, buy something, buy some type of investable asset, that's the stuff that gets me fired up. Really, really fired up.
Yep, yep. And kind of like what you mentioned earlier about, if a crash does happen, I mean, maybe you see it more, related to the stock market or that being the factor. And, that's kind of, I guess, where my view too is a little bit is I can't live in a stock portfolio. At the end of the
Right.
day, if something does happen, owning a hard asset where, that if it have a fixed 30-year fixed rate where my mortgage is not going to go up, at least I can live there, and um, you know, it can weather the storm, I guess you would say.
Yeah.